Oh boy, I've been looking forward to this one. I know many of my listeners have also been looking forward to this since we found out that this art object and learning tool is available now. And it is the NARADA Michael Walden drumming and his life and his production. And, I've been learning from NARADA for 50 years.
Oh no, I'm only 25. I'm only 25.
50 years ago in this year,
Oh my God.
early part of 74, we were all hit with come on.
I love
Come
it. I
on.
love it.
What drum entrance has that kind of impact and remains in memory? Well, I've got him right here. He's a longtime friend. He's a drum brother. He is a spiritual inspiration to me and a musical inspiration to me. And I'm so happy to see him today. My friend NARADA Michael Walden, welcome.
Thank you, Greg. So sweet, man. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Well, this is huge for me. Just that we get to talk all the time and we text and we send each other stuff, and you always send me inspirational messages and videos. And I really do love it. I need that kind of positive energy in my life. And you always offer it freely and openly. And, that's one of the things that everybody loves about NARADA Michael Walden.
Oh. I just love to share with you things that move me and touch me, inspire me, because I know you're out there doing it, man. And if I can put any gas in your tank, I love doing that. You're out there playing for the people. You're playing Mahavishnu music and Billy Cobham and all that, and it's quite something remarkable. You can do that, and I'm very happy and proud of you for doing that. So anything I can do from my side to inspire you is my honor. Yeah.
Well, I'm honored and humbled by that, NARADA. And, I won't say it's easy to follow you guys. I'm going to say that. I go to the gym. You better go to the gym if you're going to play that music. So, I train to do it because I take it very seriously, as do all of my bandmates. I mean, we all have loved that music forever. We're all around the same age. And it's never aged, really, and so much of the quality of great art, it doesn't exist in time. It exists outside of time, and your stuff is so timeless. I don't even really know where to begin, but I'll just offer this. We've been waiting for this book for, as I say, half a century. It's here. It has so much information about your life. It is just such an exaltation of your work as an artist and as a mind and as a rhythmic explorer. Does this book really represent what you want it to represent? Is this the statement?
Yes, it's a gift. I think I have to really stop and slow down and tell you how this came to be. I was on YouTube just kind of poking around, looking at different drummers, and I found a young gentleman named Aubrey Dale. And Aubrey had taken the first composition I ever had on record, his Cosmic Strut, and he had taken it and transcribed it and was playing it back and kind of teaching it, and I was like kind of blown away that he actually written thing out, was playing it back, his writing, right along with what I'd recorded. And I thought, wow, let me get a hold of this guy because maybe we can do more like that, And that's what happened. Wow. And Aubrey was so kind to come meet me and came to my studio, and we just kind of got down, and then the good Lord blessed us. Not long, maybe a year to year and a half of work to have transcriptions of songs and a kind of a mini bio on me. And I'm making a more in-depth bio for my book. But this is really for drums, transcriptions, and kind of my life, and I'm very proud of it. And also, I got to thank Hudson Publications for stepping up and really giving me a way to get out in the world.
Hudson and Joe.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm very proud because I see like Steve Gadd, all my heroes are making beautiful books, and now I finally have a book too. So I feel a great accomplishment.
I think it has just enough for us to really get to know you as a person and your values and your interests. But the drum stuff, folks, I'm going to say we're going to get a little geeky here on some of the drum stuff, because it's two guys playing that music and I'm following NARADA, and I always have a million questions for him. But NARADA, one thing I found interesting that I knew, but I'm glad it's in the book, is that when you got to Mahavishnu, you were already experienced with odd meters.
As much as I could be, yes, it's true. I, when I heard Mahavishnu Orchestra for the first time, the Inner Morning Flame album, I was in Pasadena, California. I had just enough money to buy that album. I was downtown Pasadena, had just enough money to buy it because it just blew me away what I heard in the record shop. This cat on the drum did not know, Billy Cobham, but all the open hi-hat work of Bernard Purdy going on, and that's how I look at it. All the funk of the day in this weird time zones. He was just so free with Vishnu, John McLaughlin, Jan Hammer, all those cats just going at it, and it just was mind-blowing. So I bought the album, took it home, and just tried to woodshed to try to learn some of that stuff. And I was very, very lucky to have a cousin, Art Hackley. He had a home where I could just clean his pool, make food for him, and he was giving me a free bedroom and another room where I could have my drum set up with my record player and just woodshed. You know what I mean? So it was kind of God ordained to have a place like that, a haven like that. And then not long after I'm woodshedding, carrying on, also I have to say I did a lot of work at a hospital where I was an orderly, taking care of people who couldn't walk or had to be in the bed. You have to clean their bedding and all that. Was brought a lot of my heart out to take care of people. So that's going on too. I also want to say at this part of my life, one more thing I don't want to overlook is a cat I met along the way, a few musicians who were just like brilliant in what they were doing, like a guy named Eddie Hazel from Funkadelic, who's known as Maggot Brains. He came into my life and played the fast funk and clean, and I was just like, whew. And I met another bass player named Gregg something or other. I forget his last name, but he was mean. And then a guitar player, Gregg Beck. So I'm just meeting all these different people out in LA who just had this thing, and so it helped me. And then not long I got a phone call from a cat named Sandy Turano in Florida. Would I fly to Florida to meet him? He played guitar for Edgar Winter. And would I go there to meet him? He had heard about me. So that was a big deal to actually catch an airplane, my first flight to go to Florida, Miami. And when I went there, the scene was so beautiful, and he was heavily into Mahavishnu and Weather Report and Odd Meter. And he had enough money with a backer named Greg Fell to then have a big warehouse. And the warehouse would be like a wrestling gymnasium that was like all kind of cement, so it would have a lot of ring. The cymbals, psh, so I could bring my ocean from the Pacific Ocean from California out to there, and kind of experiment with all that going on. And the experiment is really playing hard and loud and miking the bass drum with SVT amplifier, and just really gonna get myself strong playing every day with these guys, and pushing it and loving pushing it. And the people at that time were hungry for music, and they would come and sit on the wrestling mats and listen to us at night. And then I'd meet Danny Gottlieb, and I'd go to the school, and I'd meet Stan Samoli, who was a great guitar teacher. And through him would be the young students of Pat Metheny and his band, Mark Egan, and that drummer, I forget his name, I'm sorry. It'd be Hiram Bullock, Cliff Carter, Patty Scalfa, who married Bruce Springsteen later. So much talent. Even the cat from Dixie Drag is a guitar player. He's down there. They're all down there. And then down the street, you say, well, you got to hear this cat down the street named Jocko. Who's Jocko? And you go and meet him. And he's this mean cat on the bass. So there's a lot going on down there, you see? A lot going on. So people just wanted that kind of push the envelopes. Vishnu has set this high standard with Billy, but all the kids now are kind of reaching for it and doing it and jamming and kicking it and sweating and, carrying on and, just pushing it. So it was in the air. That's what I want to share with you. It was in the air. And then not long after, this band then moved to Connecticut, way up in the woods of Canaan, Connecticut. And we woodshed it even more. And that's when Ralph Armstrong came into the scene. He'd be young, like 17 years old. Right. But Ralph was amazing. Could play the fuzz tone bass like Hendrix. Could play the upright. Could do anything he wanted. Could play like James Jamerson Motown. There wasn't anything he couldn't get into. So we pushed it even more. And I'm kind of answering your question, how this was all in the air because of Mahavishnu. Saying it's okay to go there and mix all this stuff up, Yeah.
I remember it. I was aware enough at 10 when I heard Birds of Fire in 73 that this was an energy, this was a vibe, this was a thing that I had really never heard before. Somehow maybe Hendrix set us up for it. Sometimes I think about that, right? Like, to a certain degree, Band of Gypsies is important, So Hendrix dies in 70, September of 70. And then things kind of take a really interesting shift towards now it's jazz rock. I don't know. Did you guys say jazz rock at all back then? Yeah, I know you didn't say fusion.
Music. Okay. But yes, it was jazz rock, but it wasn't just that. It might have even been progressive because, for example, King Crimson, Robert Fripp, doing that kind of thing was on the scene. It was a lot of, in the rock world, cats crossing into this kind of progressive rock, FM rock.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, that's so cool because I've recently been checking out that Fripp album that you're on, Exposure, so your tangents, your tentacles are reaching into all these areas with that flavor of, you see, now this also goes to like what amount of funk was included in prog and what amount of rhythm was explored in jazz rock that influenced prog rock. So you get King Crimson after Mahavishnu, you get Mahavishnu after Zappa. I mean, there's a sort of these really interesting demarcations of everybody going, it's on. It's all on the table.
I heard King Crimson before Mahavishnu. I heard King Crimson when I was still in college, like 70, 71, their early albums. So progressive rock, I heard that stuff early even before Vishnu.
Yeah. But you also heard a lot of funk and you heard a lot of black music, and that's huge.
Yes. And Mitch Mitchell with Jimmy on a jam called Jam Back at the House. A lot of folks don't know that.
I know Jam Back at the House.
There's a whole side of the Woodstock stuff that didn't make the main thing, the main show, where Jimmy really pushed it with Mitch Mitchell in a 6/8 piece called Jam Back at the House, which people have to really check out. He's smoking a cigarette and just doing this really cool rhythm, and it's mean. It's just mean. So there was everything you wanted to know was around. Everything you wanted to know was around. Yeah.
I like that in the book that is made clear. Like, this is connected to this, that is connected to that. You make no bones about the Purdy Shuffle and your ways of transmogrifying that. And that's, you are a model in this specific way that you have one foot in history and you have one foot kicking open the door.
Yes, because quite frankly, all along through all that music we love, they were kicking open the doors. Mm-hmm. It was always kind of cutting edge, Cold Sweat was cutting edge. Stevie's stuff was was cutting edge, you know?
Music of my mind.
Yes, it's all cutting edge, quite frankly. It was making history, pushing boundaries. In the funk world, in the soul world, in the pop world, all of us pushing boundaries. So God bless us that there was a time when people really wanted you to kind of go as far as you can go. And Jimmy did help that happen too. He was the headliner for Woodstock because people really wanted to feel something. And he'd give it to them. Yeah, he'd get the Purple Haze and the Foxy Lady and those jams they knew, but he'd also just go crazy. Look at the Star Spangled Banner. You know?
Yes.
See what I mean?
No, I know. And you know, we often say, you know, what would have happened, you know, had we kept Jimmy? And you know, he was headed for Miles. Miles was headed for him. I think there was going to be a big intersection there. And Hendrix was, in the best use of the term, a real fusion musician, because he was bringing together so many elements. People forget this, you know, they think of him as a rock guy. Blues, jazz, R&B, avant-garde, right? Sound exploration. So, you know, that's John's feeding off of that too. And when you guys get into it, and I'm just sort of jumping around a bit, but it's on Emerald Beyond, but then it's also on Inner Worlds, where you guys go completely into sound. It's just sound. It's some would say noise, but it's organized sound. And then you have your acoustic River of My Heart, you know, beautiful ballads. Can you talk about that mindset at all at that point, and how you guys are, how does that get on one record at the same time?
It's Mahavishnu. You're talking about our last album, which would be
Inner Worlds.
Inner Worlds album. And Mahavishnu at this time is now in a very creative mode with a 6-string synthesized guitar. Each string has a bank of synthesizers, of Moog synthesizers, where he can take that on each string and make what he wants, and then run that through pedals of ring modulation. So the sound can be through the pedals, already synthesized. So it got into a thing of a sound that we had never heard before, much like Jimmy had done at his time. Now Vishnu's taking it to a new universal platform. And I remember being in the studio with the great producer, engineer, Dennis Mackay. I was sitting on the floor. We were at a place called the Hunky Chateau, a wonderful studio. You really have to talk to Ralph Armstrong about this too, and Mahavishnu, how beautiful the studio was to be out in the countryside. But in the control room on the floor, I could just feel Hendrix spirit coming through, with Mahavishnu just reaching so profoundly into the universe with these new sounds we had never heard. And it freed me as well. It freed all of us. It freed us just to push it. And then as far as River of My Heart, Mahavishnu would often ask me to go to the piano and just play a song I was working on or something. And he asked me would I record that piece, River of My Heart. And you know, he's just very kind to me. He's very kind to me.
A lot of people love your drum sound, your sound on the drums, the way you tune, the sizes, the way you hit, your feel, your touch on the kit. And it matured because the Apocalypse recording, I'll be honest, it's not my favorite NARADA Michael Walden drum sound. There are other issues going on, obviously. That's not even on you. But then boom, you know, Emerald Beyond, wide open, slowed down and sped up, or recorded at, you know, different speeds to make the drum sounds open up, and reverb. But your sound that gets all this treatment is what I'm talking about. Can you talk to me about your tuning? Because I know Stu Goldberg told me that you had a pitch pipe, and you were very serious about what pitches you got on the toms and your snare and all that.
Yes. When I got this kit, Mahavishnu, I have to say, He said, you know, you go to Frank's drum shop and pick out the drums you want. And so when I went to Frank's drum shop, they were really cool people in there. Frank had this gentleman working with him whose name I actually forget at this time. But he told this gentleman, he said, you know, you work with Michael. And I had told him, I said, I want to get drums that can be as loud as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the clear fives because that's what Billy was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But Billy's fives were hella loud. I mean, I was scorched. My brain had been scorched by hearing him live on those drums.
Yeah.
So I said, you know, just give me, and they said, okay, we know what to do. We'll take the white Gretsch kit that you think you like, yeah? And we'll paint the inside of those drums with 2 coats of enamel paint. I said, okay. And they did. And that's part of the sound. I hit very hard. I hit really hard. If they playfully call me the heaviest hitter, because I'll actually hit in a way, and I'll crack a rim to make a sound.
Yeah.
So that combination of the way I hit and that double coating enamel paint, and then I found if I tuned a certain way, from a kind of a high and on down to the low, a certain way that would mesh with Vishnu's guitar tuning, it would kind of be sympathetic with what he's playing. And then I kind of found whatever that tuning was, I wanted to do it on a nightly basis because we were touring so much. Don't forget, we toured a lot, man, all across America, all across Europe, Australia, New Zealand. There's a lot of touring going on. So I wanted to have a consistent sound. So that's where the pitch pipe came in. I could know if I could do a certain thing on a certain drum, it would speak a certain way. And I wanted kind of thin, clear heads so that they would be boom. Or if they weren't clear, they could be white. That's okay too, but kind of thin. So it could be like speak. Nothing too muted, nothing too dead. And you spoke about the second album now of Visions of the Emerald Beyond is really also Ken Scott.
Yeah.
Who did a great job with Billy Cobham recording and great job with Beatles, with Ringo Starr.
Sure.
And he knew how to do the great sound in Jimi Hendrix's studio where Mitch Mitchell had sat. He knew how to get that sound and gain brains and whatever would take whatever I'm doing and just make it speak out. But I do hit hard. I have to say that to you. And quite frankly, my generation were hard hitters, heavy hitters. From Grand Funk Railroad, you know, to my man with Led Zeppelin.
Right.
Stevie, all them cats would hit him, man. And if you don't dare go on a stage behind somebody and not hit hard because they toss you out of there. But I have to say, only one time I lost a gig in L.A. early on in my life when I lived in L.A. I'd be like 18, 19. I needed my job at the Sold Out Club on Sunset. You know, where you go in the nightclub and they'd be playing Al Green and all that kind of thing. And I loved it. I was so happy to have a job. And then I went in one day and they said, you know, you can't play with us anymore. I said, well, why? They said, well, you play too loud. See, but in the stadiums, in the rock world, in the Vishnu world, they want it like that. But in the nightclub, for Al Green, I got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lesson there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Thin heads,
yeah.
Coated or uncoated?
Yeah, mainly coated at that time, I would think.
I think from the pictures I've seen, yeah. But not like 2-ply or ambassadors or anything like that.
No,
Diplomat.
I didn't like it. No, I didn't like it. It muted the sound too much.
Mm-hmm.
You needed the drums to sing, ping, boom, boom. You needed like, because don't forget, you're up against Marshalls. Yeah. You're up against boogies and Marshalls and PA systems. And we're an acoustic instrument.
We are. Much to our dismay, we are acoustic.
Yeah.
But that makes us hit harder, I think, and the sound changes and the intensity changes. Yeah, I talk about this a lot with mixing and producing when you're talking about a certain kind of music. If the drums aren't felt to be kicking, you lose so much emotion. And I don't even just mean impact. I mean, so much of the reach into the audience's heart for what that rhythm thing is, right? So if the drums are not loud enough, that's a problem. And if the drums are too loud, that's another problem. But the drums have to be powerful, right? I mean, even
Yeah,
when you talk about Aretha, you talk about Whitney, you're
mm.
taking time to make sure that the rhythm track is right.
Yes. We came up at a time when it was the right time to push it, to have the drums in recordings loud up front. It became part of the sound to have a hit, to push it, to have it dominate for the toughness. If it's dance music, tough. If it's fusionary music, tough. Whatever it was at that time had to be tough. Unless it's an acoustic jam. But if the drums are there, the cutting edge at that time was being up, not like back.
And yet, I'm going to hit you with this.
Mm-hmm.
You guys brought it down real quiet too. You brought it down whisper quiet because you had to have somewhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm speaking from experience here because you can't be playing at 10 the whole time playing that music or at, chord note equals 300. So there's a whole scale of 0 to 60. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I know you had to, you had to kind of pace yourself, but you told me in the past that you didn't pace yourself.
Well, I will say this to you. I will say dynamics in the music are critical. And what Vishnu would say to us all the time is listen, just listen. Miles Davis spoke about listening. So, Mahavishnu would often say, make sure you're listening. So, because Vishnu could go from a pin drop to an explosion in 3 seconds or less. And don't forget, at that time, because I wanted to make sure I heard every nuance, I would have 2 banks of monitors. Of course, everything else he had, his amplification in the PA. But right next to me, next to my Chinese cymbal or whatever cymbal I had, on my left side would be 2 stacks to make sure I heard everything that he wanted me to hear. So to be as musical as possible is really important. In fusionary music, to make it feel as sensual and romantic and as beautiful and as glorious for God, for the people, for the highness of life was really critical. And that all came from listening and just loving. I love Mahavishnu so much. I wanted to make sure I was doing everything in my power to caress that music.
And your open drum sound goes against so much of what's happening at that time, because if I listen to the drums in 72 on Living for the City, they're all padded down and it's like a very dull sort of short attack. How did you get away with that? I mean, is that because that's what John and the band needed, or were you aware? I mean, obviously you must have been aware how much duct tape was being used and wallets and all the things that were being put on the drum heads to make things deader. Even the Al Green, I can point out.
Yeah, you do what the music requires. Some things you might deaden it down, or for example, on there are pieces on the Visions of the Emerald Beyond album where we put towels across the drums. Boom, 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 boom. You want it to be very, very chill. That would be Ken Scott saying, this is how Ringo, we would do it. We put the towel on the drums, or sheets. To do that, different songs require calming down the sound. But then when you want to explode, that's what we're talking about now, the open head, the open tuning, and let it rip, like Billy did with the Fives. It was on fire. It was on fire. Birds of Fire was on fire. See?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really just doing whatever the music requires. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Tell me about the book in terms of what you want it to do for drummers.
I just want to give my love to everybody. I'm very honored in my life that I've been able to do something that is something I want to share. Not everyone will have the chance to do, to play with a Mahavishnu or Joe Zawinul or Jeff Beck. So the things I learned in that period of my life, I want to share. Things I've seen, things I've felt, things I've learned, for whatever it's worth to someone else, to pass it on. And Aubrey Dale and like you are the ones who are the new school, new generation who can do that, who have a heart for it, a love for it, and know the musicality of transcription, how to do these things. So when I became aware that we could pass it on like that, I kind of jumped at it. I thought some of my stuff would be like beyond reading.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? You can't write that stuff down.
Right.
But hey,
my favorite.
I was proven wrong. I was proven wrong. Hey.
Look at that. Yeah.
I was proven wrong, man.
It's there.
The book of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. I'm checking out if I'm doing some things wrong, if I'm doing some things right. Yeah. It's a good reference tool. We've been writing our own charts for Mahavishnu stuff that don't exist in the original Mahavishnu Orchestra book, like Cosmic Strut's not in the book. And obviously, we're this coming week, we're doing Way of the Pilgrim.
Uh-huh.
And so that's
in this book.
And that's in the book. Yeah. And so very interesting to see what I was doing right and what I wasn't doing right, or what I might incorporate. So there's a lot of stuff in there, folks. I would say, besides the transcriptions of Narada's playing, there's some very interesting Aubrey Dale analyses, or certainly focus on this idea page for most of the pieces. I think is like, this is what kind of is important about this Narada drum part. And if you practice this kind of stuff, you can apply it. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm very honored, man. Thank you for having me today to talk about these wonderful things and to share the insights, not only just the fusionary part of my life, but I got into some production things too, with Whitney, with ARETHA, and then that side of life. The only side I haven't really covered, which will be volume 2, will be more of my solo career. I'll spend more time on Garden of Light, I Cry, Smile, Awakening, Dance of Life, Divine Emotions. I'll get more into all that because I really want to. This is really meant for more the early part of my life now.
Oh, understood. And I think, well, I know I have felt weird about us not spending enough time talking about your solo albums. So will you do one of those with me sometime?
Yeah, I'd love to.
I'm really into talking about those projects, because that's a whole other aspect of your musicality. Obviously, people know you from your drumming, or they know you from your production, but your solo albums are badass. I love their solo albums.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I think that's something we're going to have to definitely spend some time on. But okay, folks, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you see the Narada Michael Walden Questlove Supreme episode, because those guys get into it over there, and I watched it and I learned a lot.
What'd you learn? Because you know a lot. So what'd you learn?
Well, I never heard the first time that you saw Whitney come in as an adult.
Yeah.
As a teenager, a young teen. Oh, well, I guess 18 or 19.
19. Yeah, 19.
Yeah. I'd never heard that story. And I never heard well, you got to see it. I won't. All right. Maybe I'll ask you. Can you do the face that Whitney did when you were listening to the playback? And she went up to you and did a Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, she was just really confident. The sound was blaring in the studio of How Will I Know. Her voice, it was so magnificent, and everything just came together like wham.
Yeah.
And she looked at me like, are you hearing what I'm hearing? Are you hearing my voice? Are you checking that out? Are you checking out how great that is? Without saying it, in her face, in her eyes, she was giving me the look of like, you know that is great.
How did she know?
And I did know it was great, but I never had anyone confront me like that. Most people are very friendly vibe. She was friendly. I don't mean to say she wasn't friendly,
Right.
but it was just the recognition of her genius. That's really what it was. It was recognition of her genius as she looked at me, letting me know this is who you're dealing with. Without saying this is who you're dealing with, in her eyes, this is who you're dealing with. You know, and then immediately I was like, get your mom down here. Get your mom down here. And shortly, wham, in they came with all the singers. But then I realized that wasn't the sound. The sound was getting Whitney in with the mom on How Will I Know on the backing. That was almighty power. Almighty power, like Mahavishnu power, which I like doing. Mixing the worlds of the high I feel with Mahavishnu, put it in pop music, soul music. Whitney could do it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the other one that I did not know was Outhouse to the Penthouse.
Oh, yes, that's Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones would often teach us, you know, you need an outhouse bottom with a penthouse view. And it's really true. It got a stank on the bottom, see? Stank. But then, you know, the penthouse view, like Onassis boat. Jackie Kennedy over there, hey, what's going on? Yeah, get everybody, got to get everybody, see? So that's what I'm talking about, everybody.
Right. And then, because when you said it, it went like, that's what he's been doing. I didn't realize it was a Quincy adage passed on to this next generation of producers who then passed it on. And man, that was magnificent. And so, you know, I'm in this obviously very big NARADA Michael Walden phase right now between the book and this upcoming show. I should say, we're not just playing Way of the Pilgrim. We're playing Sophie. We're playing Cosmic Strut. Okay. And I was thinking about it, and there's never a Mahavishnu Project show where we don't play 1, 2, or 3 of your compositions.
Oh, thank you.
That's interesting to me, though, because you come in, you're a youngster.
Yes.
And you have material. And it reminded me, like, when I spoke to Wayne Shorter in his home when I was interviewing him for Yale, he said that Miles would say to him, bring the book, Wayne, bring the book. You know, and you had a book. You had your ideas.
No, I didn't have a book. I didn't have a book.
You mean you're making these up on request?
Well, what are we talking about now? Give me an example.
Let's say, how does Cosmic Strut get on Emerald Beyond?
Mahavishnu gave us Eternity's Breath, Leela's Dance, so many of those songs on cassettes to learn.
Oh.
I'm learning the music. So now I'm understanding what this album is going to sound like.
With a metronome, with a click, is he playing them?
Let me think back. It may or may not have click, but it was definitely on synthesizer. So it could have, it might have a click. I don't want to say it didn't have a click. It might have, but because I just remember being more synthesizer sounding, where he was like actually composing on synthesizer.
Right.
So that's what I remember the most. But in hearing the music, you know, and hearing that it was really written for us, I felt that spirit. Like, I know what to do with this music. It wasn't like over my head in the sense of like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I was like, yeah, I know what to do with this music, you know? Right. Vishnu gave us a gift. He gave us a gift. And in hearing that, he gave me his piano, that Rhodes piano that they used with Jan Hammer and the early stuff, and even the Rhodes he composed Apocalypse on. He gave me that piano. I have it right next to my bed where I would sleep in Queens, New York, as I get up in the middle of the night or in the morning and compose. And in the making of the second album, Vision of Emerald Beyond, I went to my Rhodes he gave me and wrote Cosmic Strut. And he was very kind to say, let's cut it. Yeah. But in cutting it, I actually put it on clavinet. I put it on clavinet with a wah-wah pedal with John, Jean-Luc, and Ralph, and then overdub drums.
Which I still find difficult to understand how the funk still gets in there, because you're not playing drums with Ralph. You're playing drums later. But you bring the funk.
I'm playing clavinet. I'm playing the clavinet. We're all together on the clavinet.
So you're bringing the funk on the clavinet.
Yeah, and Ralph's funky, and John's funky. They're all funky. Shoot.
Bump, bump, bump.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, right, exactly. Hmm.
Come on. I mean,
That's who
that's
he
so
is.
funny to me, actually, is John's funkiness is so fun. When he's doing like that, like those ninth chords with the funk up top, he's
Yeah.
got all that, like on Pilgrim.
Mhm.
Dun.
Mhm.
So working with singers,
Yes.
you have told me some very interesting things because I'm working with singers right now.
Oh,
In
okay.
fact, female singers
Wonderful.
for this new project that I'm writing. And, that's where I hear melodies in that register.
Hmm.
And I know that one of the things about Whitney was that you pushed her to include her very upper register stuff that maybe not necessarily was something she spent a lot of time with, or correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, because I know that you wanted to showcase the areas of her voice. How were you able to do that?
After I experienced how will I know what she could do, what was her natural God gift, then in the next set of recordings would be the second album. For the love of you, Isley Brothers, I want to dance when he loves me, so emotional, where the broken hearts go. Even the Olympic theme song. One moment in time. I I always wanted her to just be herself, which is just glamorous and glorious. So I would put the music where I know it would be her range, where she could just do her thing and always peak on the ending. And kind of be honest about it, pull her back for the first verses, pull her back a bit, pull it back so that you just settle down and just learn the melody for the first verse, first chorus. Open up a little more for the second verse, second chorus, bridge, bring what you want to bring, and then out chorus. Damn, just go crazy. When I realized how crazy she can be, I'm happy with all that. Just run. Just run. Like I always say on I'm Gonna Dance With Somebody Loves Me in this room, is where she came with, say you wanna dance, don't you wanna dance, don't you wanna dance? Don't you wanna dance, say you wanna dance, don't you wanna? That just popped out of her like that. See? Because she's just going high now. And then we changed the record to go with her.
Thank you for illustrating that in the studio,
Mm-hmm.
you have all your shit planned out,
Yes.
but you got to be open
Yes.
to the moment, to the serendipity, to the
Yes.
spontaneity, right?
Yes. Because you can often think it's gonna be this, but then it's gonna be that. And that's the power of God. You gotta trust God to come through and let God say, it's over here, it's over there. Try this, try that. So by being open, by being willing, that's when the greatness comes in, if you're asking me. If I think I know everything, I don't know everything. If I think I got it all together, I don't have it all together. It's only all together when I'm open and willing to let the higher spirit do some magic. It's the magic that becomes the magic. We do the blueprints. So if the magic in some areas doesn't give us what we need, we know what to fall back on. We'll try this to connect that line with this line. Do this. See, you know what I mean? In those instances, because you need to tie things together sometimes, right? But really, you're always asking God to come through, and that's Quincy Jones again. Quincy's always saying, you want to capture God as God walks through the room. It's like, oh, I love that too. See? So we're really praying all the time. You're praying with the singer, you're praying with the artist, with the engineer, you're praying with everybody. It's a big prayer session. And being open. And even as people come in who want to play drums or want to sing or do anything in music, the open, willing spirit lets some magic happen that we need, that we have to have to do something that's wonderful. Yeah.
As much as I love having watched you play the drums, I wish I could see you producing those moments in the studio and how you make that energy, how you speak to people, because I have a very also intentional way of speaking and to artists in the studio in a creative environment, you know, that it's going to be all part of everything is all part of the vibe, right? Everything is all contributing to this atmosphere, but it comes from you, it comes from the producer. And so, kind of having done sports, you know, I think of that as that's the head coach, you know, and the head coach knows what the teammates and the team members have to do. And how do you then get the best performance out of your team members, you know? So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that and not even just, you know, these tracks you get out of these singers. We'll talk about that in a sec, but it's a bigger picture, isn't it, Narada?
Yeah. Okay. A few things come to my mind. In working with George Martin, Beatles producer on Apocalypse, I noticed him kind of quiet. Massive things going on. Symphonic things going on. Mahavishnu in a room. Jean-Luc Ponty, young me, young Ralph, Gail Moran, Michael Gibbs charts, Michael Dyson Thomas conducting. I mean, it's a massive project. Massive. But if you go look at him, he's very kind of quiet. See what I mean? He could have been like, no, I need to. No, he was not. He was not. In fact, I said, hey, do you think you can phase my cymbals like you did Ringo Starr? He goes, no. No, we've already done that. End of conversation. Okay, so I've learned that from him. I love boxing. I look at Muhammad Ali. There's a guy, his trainer, named Angelo Dundee. And Angelo Dundee says, you couldn't train Muhammad Ali like everybody else. You know? Now, if you wanted Muhammad Ali to jab more, you had to say to Muhammad Ali, champ, your jab looks great today. And he'd be like, jab it. Yeah, it does look good, doesn't it? It does look good. You're right. Angelo, you're right. It's on fire. That's the thing. How to motivate who you're with, because everybody's different. If you said to Muhammad Ali, hey, man, you ain't jabbing. It's like, who you think you are?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, could have come from any one of the divas. Who you think you are?
Right.
Who you think you're talking to? Or, I mean, they may even say that, but now we may be squishing their spirit, because don't forget, to be behind a microphone in a studio is a daunting thing. You want to make something that's going to last for hundreds of years. So we have to respect that. It's like the air, to let them just find themselves, and you know, however that is. If they need more love, if it's a teddy bear or a candle or an inner child card that says, you know, I nurture the child within me through playfulness and self-care. That might set somebody free. Just something simple like that. See? So everybody's different. Now you say, somebody might need a cup of coffee. You know, you sound like you're dragging in this way. You're tired. Go on and get some espresso and get back in there and sing. That might motivate somebody. You're absolutely right. But there are other cases where it'd be the wrong thing to do. So that's what I'm saying. Is the producer has to be loving, sensitive, kind. Let that music breathe.
And you're setting the stage for creative things to happen.
Yeah. And have faith. Have faith it's going to happen. Through your faith, it will happen. But we can jinx it by being too pushy, too anxious, too nervous, and dare I say, too insecure. We can jinx it.
Right.
Think we know it all and pushing around, and the genius gets out the window. It's kind of why I work fast. I've learned, prepare, and when get with the people, whoever it is, let them run, let them get happy, get free, get the ending first. You're all happy. Get all the hey, ooh, all that first, because you won't get it later if you don't get it first. Then if you want to get serious about a first verse, it's got to calm down. Okay, now we can calm down. Get the first verse. Yeah.
Big picture, small picture, micro,
yes.
macro.
And one thing I got to say to you also, I learned really made me a producer, is when with George Michael in heaven. He's looking down, because I love George. And George was a massive star at this time.
Yeah.
Doing the duet for him and Aretha. He came in for the first day. Let me think about this a minute. How to work. No, Aretha came for the first day. lay down her basic verses and some, not the ending, but just the basic stuff, you know. And then George came in from London with his manager. The second day, Aretha stayed home. It was just George's day with me. And I had 10 tracks for him. 10 tracks for Aretha the first day, 10 tracks on tape for George. Now, George is really nervous to sing with Aretha Franklin force. So his first, let's say, first 4 tracks are really strong. And then the 5th and 6th and 7th run-throughs, I can hear the decline of the muscle, the strength that he had on the first tracks. But he says to me, go back over those first 4 tracks. And I say, no, because that's the record. You think you're getting stronger and better, but in fact, these first 4 tracks, if you stop right now, which I want you to do, I can comp that stuff, and that's going to be the smash. And he looked at me like, who do you think you're talking to? But I had to remind him, I said, George, I'm hearing what you're doing. If I go over these first 4, that's your strength. We need that for this record. So I said, I need you to go home and just trust, you know, and tomorrow when you come in, I'll play it to you. If it ain't a problem, we can do it then. But let me not go over that stuff. And he did. He said, okay, I'll go home. And so that's part of being a producer too, knowing how to stop the fighter, how to stop the singer, how to stop when you need to save something that they put down, protect them. Because people always think, oh, I can do better. And maybe you can, but you know what? I can't go over this, what I know is strong, just to satisfy you right now when we're so limited on what we have. It's not like Pro Tools with infinite tracks. I'm talking about tape.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And also no pitch correction at that time.
No, what we did, it was called AMS.
What year?
We would use AMS.
Is that like
if it was out of tune, it's a harmonizer.
Huh? Oh, okay.
It's it's called the Ultra Harmonizer, H3000 SE harmonizer. And we could pitch things if we had to after the fact.
But let me ask you this. Did Whitney have perfect pitch?
Yes, they all have perfect pitch. But the thing is this, where we come in as Wizards of Oz, behind the curtain.
Right.
After they go home. And then we want to make the record that's going to live forever. So then we do any slight tweaking we might need to do in the mixing and before the mixing. And quite frankly, if I'm honest with you, even before they come in the next day.
Yeah.
This is the magic for Whitney. I'd put the record together after a 3-hour session with her. She'd go home. And then we stay up all night. And I had engineers who could do that. And when I leave at 4 in the morning, I'd give them even more notes. And they'd do those little tweaks and give me a cassette at 9 in the morning. And 9 in the morning, I'd call them back again, make these small tweaks before I come in at noon. I'll come in at noon. Now she should come in at 4. So we have between noon and 4 to make any little things we want to make. So make a record so that when she comes in at 4 o'clock, I can say, sit down, hit the play button, and it's a smash. Because I know if I can be that quick with her, I won't lose her attention. And she'll go, damn, it's a hit. I go, yeah, all you got to do is a little harmony here, and we're done. So speed is really critical in the studio, but you don't feel like they're going to beat the horse to death. So that's how it was done in those cases. Any little tweaking we do during that nighttime before they ever come back in the second day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been playing drums for Todd Rundgren off and on for the last 10 years or so.
I love him.
And I know that you guys have worked together on his Nearly Human album in '90. He works fast.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't
I was the leader of his choir.
Right.
We had a bunch of people in the studio that he had handpicked and I had handpicked for us. I forget the name of the song now.
I Love My Life.
Yes, thank you. And we just brought the choir together. They learned it quickly, put it down quickly, stacked it up, hot, bam, done. There's magic in that. It's like you on the stage. There's magic in what you're putting down.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, because you're giving everything you have and you're focused at that moment. You can't deny that. There's a power in that. There's a spirit in that. You might do something better, but you might not. So, I all those things that you put down, those are my treasures. Even yesterday with a little 14-year-old girl named Yo Yoka on here. You know what I mean? She can do whatever, but I'm not overlooking what she first put down was that fresh spirit. There's magic in that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So also, again, important as a producer to know about hands off.
Yes.
And to know what is lost, what is gained in pursuit of, quote, perfection.
I do a lot of it behind the scenes. Get the greatness out of the artist, get their best. It's a happy, good feeling, joyous experience because the tape can feel it. The machines can feel the spirit of love and kindness and joy in the music. And then after when they're gone behind the scenes, then whatever little tweaking you do. That's okay.
Was ARETHA intimidating?
Very, at first especially. Very. I'm in her. I'd cut Who's Zooming Who and Until You Say You Love Me, the first two pieces in San Francisco at the Automat Studios, and then flew to Detroit United Sound, where she would meet me. And at that time, she was still smoking. It'd be in the wintertime, and she'd have the big kind of like fur coat, thick, big. And when she would come into the sliding doors into the studio and look at you, she'd kind of peer at you and check you out with a cigarette and the big fur coat. And then you want to be as gracious, so you get up from around the console and go to the front where she's standing and take her hand and, hi, I'm Michael Walden. And you look at her and you can see who she is. Yeah. Now that's what's scary right there. Just right there. Because you see respect, Chain of Fools, Natural Woman, all those things that she has done, not even counting the great piano player that she is.
Right.
That she can hear everything, that she can see everything. She knows everything. When she was little, she dated Sam Cooke. Her dad was the great preacher, C.L. Franklin in Detroit, with Martin Luther King coming through. And Mahalia Jackson and all that. So you see all that in her eyes, and she will show you in her eyes who she is immediately. So that don't mess with me. Immediately that comes out. But then that's when you have to be you, to be so loving that your love says, I'm not here to fight with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to make the best music we can make together. And then Dave Frazier, my great engineer, will hit that track. And that track comes on, she's like, damn. Let's get started. Then she starts singing, and the endorphin starts kicking in. Then it's like, play it back to me. You play her back a tape. You might even think, I could take a moment and comp something together for you. No. Just play what I just sang. You play it for her, and you see the smile on her face. That she just loves the sound of her voice. Let me stop right now and tell all singers, learn from ARETHA. Learn to love the sound of what comes out of your body. ARETHA would just get this kind of like deep love out of just hearing what she performed. And it's funny, the story. She would have a cigarette, and the ash would not fall off that cigarette. It'd be a long ass ash. It would just hang on the thing. I'd be like waiting for it to fall. It would never fall. As she's like lost in meditation, hearing her voice. So that's when I realized, you have to love yourself. That's a big part of it. I mean, we call her the Queen of Soul, but part of her magic is how much she loves herself. Yeah. And the great ones do. So I have to say that about her. I'm looking at her now, and she's loving me as I'm telling you this. Because we had a lot of fun. Before she passed, she would call me on the phone. She said, I just want to thank, we sat on the couch and laughed a lot together. We had good times together. I say I love all that because she was really kind
beautiful.
to me. No, she was kind to me. And the last 7 shows of her life, I played drums. She had the beautiful lady out of Detroit named Gayleen, who played some of it, and I played some of it. We played we'd mix it up. And it was great to play live with her.
Yeah.
Even on her piano stuff. And then play Free Ray of Love. And Free Ray of Love would be like 15 minutes long. It'd be a jam. You know what I mean? And then it'd go into a gospel thing about Jesus. you know, higher, 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 higher for Jesus. You know what I mean? And it'd just go out there. And she'd leave the stage and we'd still be rocking. She'd come back on again. So all that was happening. And then another thing happened on the first time I played live with her on one of those shows in New York. She was doing Chain of Fools and it got caught in a fire. And she wanted the band to keep rocking it, and we did. And she would go off the side of the stage on a chair, and they put a cold towel around her neck, like a prize fighter.
Yeah.
Big towel. And she'd just look at us with this big old towel on her, and the band's rocking. She'd just be sitting there just like listening to the rock. There's a big old towel on her. And then when she felt it, she'd throw off the damn towel, come back and just rock again. I was like, damn. That's why she's beloved, because she'd give 110% at those shows. They knew when she would show up, they were in for a treat. Even at the side of the stage, at the very beginning of a show, she'd stand at the side of the stage, and people go,
yeah, right.
In Boston, she didn't even go on the microphone yet, because they knew she's gonna bring it. That's what I'm gonna tell you about these great ones. They bring 110%. Even the last show, I gotta say, on your behalf, was for Elton John's AIDS benefit at St. John's in New York. And everyone is there, Sting, Billy Joel, Clive, everyone. But now she's remarkably thin.
Mm-hmm.
She's thin. The sound is still there. She's still Aretha, a little bit weaker because she's, going to be her last show. But she lets him have it. And then she breaks down into Nessun Dorma. And I can see Sting tears. If they know. But she gives everything. That's the greatness. That's the greatness.
So much energy that you have taken in from so many different sources of greatness.
I want to say about Jeff Beck now. He wants to come.
Yeah, please.
Jeff, well, say something about me. I told Jeff, I said, where are the white flyers? You don't know what the white flyers are. The white flyers are these white tall boots he had. The white tall boots, it just made me play different when I see him walk around those white tall boots. I kind of get the vibe. I'll go, yeah, Jimmy, and he's sly, all that period. But it was his own thing. He was kind of this rugged cat, He could play any damn thing, from so sensitive to just a car screaming and screeching. So he had all this magic about him. But for me, I felt at ease with Jeff, like high school. In love with a girl in high school. Want to kiss her in the back seat of the car. And then want to race the car. Get a hamburger. Put on some damn hot music. With all that kind of deliciousness going on with him. And he was very competitive, want to make sure he just killed everybody. And then
I'm so happy that you brought that up spontaneously, because of course there's that incredible intersection where Blow by Blow with Purdy is touring with Emerald Beyond, and every night you guys play together.
It's incredible. Mahavishnu was so good to us. Yes, we had just made Vision of the Emerald Beyond album, and now we're going to tour with the great mighty Jeff Beck. Blow by Blow. Hottest thing in the music industry at that time was Blow by Blow.
Right, and that's a George Martin album.
Yes, it is. And on drums, he had Bernard Purdy, who I did not know before. I knew his work, but I never met him. And Bernard's bass player, Wilbur Bascom, brilliant and tight to the drums like anything. And the great Max Middleton on Rhodes and clavinet. And then, of course, Jeff. And, the crowds would just be like, just packed to want to see him. And then, of course, we had kind of got our own little following now with the Vision There and Beyond coming on. So it was like a packed situation. And then every show, both bands would come together and jam. They worked out this tune, the head, and then it would go into spontaneous rocking and back and forth, whatever. But it'd be like Bernard Purdy and myself playing drums together.
What's that like?
Incredible. It taught me to be sensitive to another drummer, not step on him. Because we knew we were all playing a lot of stuff, but just to make sure I was locking with him. Because Bernard, his time is so wonderful,
Hmm.
I could tend to rush a bit, but he'd be like, phew. So I
Hmm.
had to make sure I was like, locked to him. The mighty one, Bernard Purdie, mighty. And that was wonderful. People would love it.
Did you talk with him? Did you have nice
Oh, yes.
conversations
He
with
spent
him?
all kind of time with me. He
Yeah.
took me under the wing like I was like a little boy, on all the flights everywhere. You'd be flying everywhere. And you sit next to him and he'd tell you everything you want to know. And he'd want to share with you, right down to what kind of seat do you use? Now, you got to be careful you don't get hemorrhoids. You want to make sure you might want to get a bicycle seat so you don't get hemorrhoids. I have had a problem with hemorrhoids. That kind of talk. Any kind of thing he would share with you. The recording sessions, how he did recording sessions, what he played on, all that kind of thing. And very loving. Bernard was very, very loving. And I was always entranced to watch him play. There's a piece off Blow by Blow that's in 5, I think it is.
Diamond Dust.
Yes. And Bernard would be lost in his trance. He would never look at Jeff, which I thought was unusual because I was always looking at Mahavishnu like a puppy dog. But here's Bernard, such the king, just playing in 5, his way. You know what I mean? In his world. And the thing kind of revolved around him. Jeff, Max, and the bass player Wilbur revolved around him in that beautiful trance in 5. Because, you don't normally see, the great R&B drummer of Bernard Purdie playing in 5 or playing in 7 or playing in these odd meters. But when they do, it's like, woo, woo. That's how you do that, don't you? That's the lessons I learned in watching him play that music. That's the lessons that every drummer needs to watch. It's so critical to the groove.
Yeah.
The feeling. Not about what you can just play because you can. No. The magic of the time.
Yes.
It's phenomenal.
You and I had a very interesting little text exchange over the last week where I'm looking at the book and I'm thinking, Narada and these odd meters, but they don't sound odd because they're flowing and because there's the funk and there's the awareness of the shape of the phrase. And I guess I told you a little bit about how I try to think of it as on small units and then the larger unit and then the clave and then don't think. And then you said, and then let the bass player hold it down.
Yeah. I love that. Because when the bass holds it, like Ralphie holds it, or even with Rick Laird, who's brilliant, then someone's holding the kite, And then you can kind of trust in the kite to be someone's holding you, and you kind of get out there because it's a foreign territory, like jumping out of a plane. Climbing to the top of a mountain. It's kind of rarefied air out there.
Right.
So yeah. When someone's holding the kite, it does help a lot. But then there are times, for example, where there is no bass player. So now if it's an odd meter, you gotta feel the shape. Vishnu taught us to feel the shape. When I first got with him in January of '74, he would say, "Feel the shape of the time." Everything's got a feeling in the shape. So I would. That was cool. That was cool. But nothing beats for me hearing their bass line. Just that now on a synthesizer. I can go out there because I know when I come back it's gonna be there. Yeah,
I was listening to that one too. We've worked that in. We have that coming in. You never know when, but
That's Mahavishnu.
I mean, really, and then it's just drums and guitar synth, and it's just savage.
Yes, it is savage.
Right?
At that point, I became a tiger. We were praying, meditating, no sex, vegetarian life for so long that your energy source in your navel area goes up into the heart. You ask God to come through, and you're doing that so much now, and you become so strong. Your body, your muscles become so strong playing that kind of way all the time.
Wow.
And you become more confident. Now there's a bond of brotherhood. You start trusting each other, what someone's going to do, and even sympathetically trusting what's going to happen, you know, and it kind of just falling together magically. So the trust and the love is really powerful. I always think about Elvin Jones with John Coltrane, how much he loved John Coltrane. He said, I could die for John Coltrane. That's how you begin to feel at a time in your life. You know, the music is so powerful. You could die for somebody. I know Mitch Mitchell gave everything he could for Hendrix to support him, to push him. I know Billy Cobham gave everything. You know, all those great people had to give everything. The drummers aren't loved enough, aren't given enough respect. It's probably been that way forever. I don't know, but it still is that way. We're just now starting to give Ringo Starr some love. I mean, we give him love, but maybe not enough. You know, he's alive, and we're trying to understand. Well, what did you really do? You know, damn, you did a lot. But now I'm thinking about it. You damn did a lot. You know, but it may not always come that at the beginning. It might be a little more about the guitar and the singer and all that stuff. But the drummers are really the heartbeat of the music. And most recently, I read Pat Metheny did a wonderful thing, where he really breaks it down and says how important the drummers are, you know, and his drummer's a beast.
Yeah, he is.
Damn Antonio Sanchez. But is it Sam saying his name correctly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, but I got to tell you something about this guy. You all see what he's doing on Facebook with all the fast, you know, so timing, so quick. But guess what? He's got a gear that if I didn't know it, I would not know it. But I'm gonna tell you something. I happened to be in one of those jazz festivals in Europe, Italy or France or wherever it was. And he caught my ear from wherever I was. And I came to the bandstand where he was playing with Pat Metheny. But what he was playing was not the normal thing. He was playing Elvin Jones. You could have closed your eyes and sworn it was Elvin Jones. That guy is supremely talented.
Oh, yeah.
I have to tell you that. I have to tell you that.
I'm happy to hear it because I'm a big fan of Antonio Sanchez. And I would also tell people, if you want to experience something really remarkable, there's a film called Birdman. And he did the soundtrack, and it's 90-something% just drum set solo, and makes the movie propulsive and makes the movie emotional. And it's real. That was quite a new achievement, I think. Solo drum soundtrack for a drama, you know?
Yeah. I got to say something about two other cats on my mind I want to come through.
Yeah.
New cats, and then I got to go to Raymond Gomez. I want to say, there's a cat named Eric Moore, mean. Like if Charlie Bird Parker played drums, he's like that to me. Just like a bird on the drums. Light touch and just clean. Eric Moore, check him out. And then there's another guy I just saw this weekend. And they were phenomenal. And what it was the band called En Vogue. I thought I knew En Vogue. I know the girls En Vogue. But
right.
they're a new group now. They're a new group, and the rhythm section is almighty. It's a guy on drums named Ray Marshall from Mississippi, wherever he comes from, in the church, out to L.A. But the way he can subdivide time and just play so consistently for the whole 2.5 hours, whatever it is phenomenal. I mean, John Bonham would bow down. Yes, he would, because the cat got power. But he could survive, take what we put down, what the people put down, and do it now. You know, these church boys have pushed things, as you know.
Yes.
So what he's done is he's kept this whole thing, which we had loved, we admire, but just subdividing it and strong, and just keep it going. I was like, dang, God. And there's a bass player in Baltimore with him. Forgotten his name, too. How it'll come to me. Just mean. These new cats are coming.
Yeah, they are.
I'm telling you. These new cats are coming. Now, Raymond Gomez. Gotta speak about Raymond Gomez because all guitar players and drummers, Raymond can play drums like me and you. Oh, yeah. Oh. He's mean. And he's a great guitar player because of it. His guitar chops are beautiful, and he saved me. When the MAHAVISHNU Orchestra broke up, I was so depressed, not knowing what to do with my life, not knowing what to do. I mean, I was Vishnu's puppy, and now what am I going to do? And here, God gave me Raymond Gomez, and I found him on Lenny White's album, the Venetian Summer album, and he was just playing so remarkable with Lenny. And God brought us together, and it was so beautiful to have someone who understood the rock, the blues, and the speed of what was you call jazz rock fusion, the speed and accuracy of it all. So he really helped me. I got to just give Ray so many loving props at all times. You know, and then there's Pat Thrall, who I toured with. He's another one.
Wow.
Came out from Automatic Man out here in California. Then you got to mention Hiram Bullock.
Yeah.
There are so many young people coming up that time that we just want to give so much love to. And in the funk world, you got to give love to Nile Rodgers.
Yeah.
There's so many people I just admire, you know, who just think like drummers, even though they're not. Of course, Vishnu is a supreme drummer.
Supreme.
His whole thing is cat and mouse. He can cat and mouse you too. You don't know what's going on. He's that genius.
To the point where he had to go to the Indian musicians.
Yes, sir.
Who could hang.
And they can push him, I'm sure.
And they push him.
Yeah, well, he'll go like,
okay, so
okay.
my buddy Andre, shout out to Dre Chomley, it works for Pat. And Metheny is playing right before the most recent Shakti run.
Okay.
And Pat's quote was, "Man, John's hanging with those guys. He's not just like keeping up, he's hanging." Like, yeah, after this many years of being in that musical culture.
Yep.
I wanted to tell you a moment that I had was actually the first day I met Mahavishnu John McLaughlin. Ina had introduced us through email. Wonderful. And shout out to Ina Bernd. And so I go to town hall. It's Shakti. And I meet John. We have a conversation, and he's very, very kind and very pleasant. And Anthony and Joseph are there. And I'll say for everyone, Anthony Barone and Joseph Dana, who were John's right and left hand, I think, on the Mahavishnu crew. So John doesn't want to go out to dinner because he's going to practice. He's going to do his warm-up, right? So he's starting his warm-up. And by the way, his warm-up, folks, that I witnessed was just slowly playing major scales, just up and down the neck of the instrument. So he says, "Go have dinner, you guys." So I go out with Joseph and Anthony. And unsolicited, they tell me, "You know, we were riding in the car with John. It's like when we just started working with Mahavishnu. And he's playing this Coltrane with Elvin Jones thing." And we're like, "John, what the fuck is this?" Like, you know, they're rock guys, right? And he says, "This is what I'm trying to do."
That's it.
And they said, "Oh, I thought you were trying to do Hendrix with Mitch." And he's like, yeah. But this is what I'm really trying to do.
I can't tell you the amount of times on the side of the stage, before we walk on the stage, you would see Mahavishnu with yellow Sennheiser headphones, and you stand close to him, and he is hearing two people, Elvin Jones and John Coltrane, going at it with so much intensity, like staggering intensity, will just drop you. That's what he's hearing as he's about to walk on the stage.
Is that right?
Yes. And then he would say to us, "Don't forget Vivekananda." Vivekananda would say, "Be not lambs for God. Be lions for God. Roar," as he's hearing Elvin Jones and John Coltrane in his head. And then sometimes as he got a little further on, it could be an Indian music or some kind of rock that he might be into. But I got to tell you, 9 times out of 10, it'd be Jones and Coltrane just laying on him. And then he could play the guitar like Coltrane too, where he would purposely or unpurposely breathe and make the attacks. And then as he's breathing, bring the neck up and then make the actually the breathing like you could hear John do. That became part of the cycles. It's a mean cat, man. It's a mean cat.
folks who
London or
haven't
any
seen
from,
that,
yeah.
you know, you can see that on video. I mean, you see him breathe, even later with like One Truth Band.
Mhm.
It's like
Mhm.
wind up,
Mhm.
right? He
I
has,
think it's inspired from John Coltrane, the breathing aspect,
mm,
because he loved him so much. Loved him so much.
Narada, what a great pleasure. I always learn something or hear another tidbit of things that I didn't know about when I talk to you, you know, and we laugh and we always have fun.
Yeah.
It's great. You know, middle school, Gregg Bendian, never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that we could be friends and share this music.
Little Michael Walden from Kalamazoo, Michigan, Plano, Michigan. What would I know about playing with the Mahavishnu Orchestra? What would I know about playing with ARETHA Franklin? What would I know about anything?
Right.
Just I know I love music. See what I'm saying? But God is mighty, brother. We have to come back to God again, because God can make so many things happen. I went from being a busboy, picking up spaghetti dishes at Mario's place in Connecticut, to join Mahavishnu Orchestra with George Martin and Beatle in London. From the spaghetti dishes to that. And I prayed, and God blessed me. God's blessing you. God's blessing all of us if we ask for it. Even if we don't ask for it, God's blessing us. But certainly if we ask for it, the blessings are there. You know, and then look back what you helped me. If I'm honest, the roles I play in my life are largely due to my education in drumming when I'm 4 and 5 from Louis Hayes. He was 18 years old on an album called Six Pieces of Silver by Horace Silver. And I think, and when I go back and listen to him, or even I saw a little video of him recently, it reminds me I'm still trying to do what he does.
Mm.
That guy is so remarkable, the Louis Hayes guy. And you gave me a number. I'm still scared to call him, but I'll call him at some point.
You know, I did his oral history for Yale, and he was in New Haven, and we sat, and it was wonderful. And believe me, I'm still trying to make sure that you connect with him, because, you know, he's still got it up here, and I know that I'll pay to see the two of you go at it. Talk about it.
I don't have much to say to him, just how much I love him and respect him. You know, we all have a lot of heroes in the world, but he's certainly a great hero.
Yeah.
He's certainly a great hero. You know, at that time, Horace Silver was the cutting edge.
Right.
See? In time, there's always the great hero. At that time, it was Horace Silver's band.
That's funny, because then Billy comes through that band.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Let me ask you something that came up in the book. You were intimidated by Billy's single strokes.
The whole world is and it was and is.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that.
Is. We are still bowed down.
We all live in fear.
We are still bowed down, and we will stay bowed down until further notice. What you talking about?
We'll let you know.
Oh, you were intimidated. Hey, I am still bowed down. What are you talking about?
Very fair. That being said, that drove you to really work on double strokes.
Well, you had to. You couldn't come in that kind of band and not have that on your mind every day. But not to compete with him, as Guru would say. Don't compete. Just be the best of you. So
right.
being the best of you, you got to get yourself together. Because he put it down. Shoot. Anybody who knows anything knows how terrible he was and is.
Very bad.
And is.
Yeah.
So it's frightening to me.
But like, for instance, that big fill on the beginning of after the intro to Cosmic Strut, right into the melody. Is that doubles or singles?
That'd be singles.
That's singles.
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
Oh, was this that it wasn't my natural inclination to have really fast single strokes in my life.
Oh, really?
For example, there were even in high school, there would be other bands that would come through our high school, and there'd be other drummers who would. That's how they would play everything. Would be a single stroke roll. Yeah. That would be their ammo. It was never part of my ammo. I could do a single stroke, but that wasn't really my ammo. My ammo would be like the double stick roll or another kind of way of breaking time up. But in following being with a Billy Cobham, where the single stroke he did was so precise and gorgeous, then I developed what I could do, mainly be a double stroke or it would be a single stroke. Then I tend to get myself together. But when you hear me do that kind of thing on Cosmic Strut you're talking about, that's my homage to the great Billy Cobham. I mean, I'm being the best I am being of me. I'm not thinking about Billy so much, but would I be doing that without Billy have done it so beautifully before on it? No, he brought it to the forefront of everybody,
Right?
And not just that. He brought all kinds of stuff to the forefront, which we're still digesting and loving. So I just stay a very humble cat when I talk about him, because he just he smacked me so hard. I'm still smacked. Lovingly smacked, and lovingly giving it to him for what he's done and what he's doing.
And I'm just going to jump in and pile on and say composer.
Yeah,
composer.
Go there, and because I mean, I was on a podcast, Billy, and I was trying to get him to recognize where I was coming from on Birds of Fire, and his bass drum work, and then the pattern that came out on Birds of Fire was so advanced at that time.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, but check this out. Did you ever hear Tommy Bolin? I said, yeah, well, I know Tommy Bolin. Well, that's, and he went on his complete skip what I was trying to get to talk about Tommy. So, he's got his own way of looking at things,
Well, I think it's interesting too. You say all the things he brought. Yeah. Jan said, Billy is proto-metal.
What's proto?
Pre-metal, metal drumming.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Right? That power, that kit, that approach predates guys like Dave Lombardo and the heaviest hitters in heavy metal music.
Yeah. Well, in his own way, absolutely. I can see that. But, now I got to give love to Keith Moon, and doing what he was doing was hot too. Had a lot of power and doing single stroke rolls. So there have been cats along the way who've just really been powerful people. But no one could do it in the way that Billy did, in the odd meters and the funk that was just so unusual for the times, and it still is.
And he wrote a beautiful introduction for NARADA.
I have to say, I'm so pleased that Billy honored me on this. I asked him, and he said, well, what do you want me to talk about? I said, I'm open to whatever you want. No, he said, no. I want to know what you want. And I said, well, I really just would love you to bless the book, and he did. So there again, I'm being blessed again. I'm being blessed again, man.
Well, and I'm in here telling people what I think of you and Stanley Clark, and I mean the list goes on and on.
Steve Smith,
wonderful
thing.
Vinnie Colaiuta, Danny Gottlieb, Vince Wilburn, Kenwood Denard, Lee Sklar, Cindy Blackman Santana, Greg Bissonette, Ray Gomez. I mean, it is the beautiful part of the book. In addition to everything else, is Carlos Santana's in here, Neil Schoen is in here, Alfonso Johnson is in here, Randy Jackson, Will Calhoun, G Cal, all these guys. And I'm just so happy that it happened. And I'm so happy for you, NARADA, because you deserve this. And it really does represent you so beautifully to those of us that love you and those of us maybe that are going to find out about you.
Yeah. That's
right.
Yes.
Because a kid can go, oh, there's a chart for Cosmic Strut.
Okay.
Let me see what he's doing with his left hand. 5 strokes. By the way, huge thing for me and something I teach very frequently. Don't sleep on the 5-stroke. Right?
Yes,
all
beautiful.
these different uses for it, and it's a connective tissue.
Mm-hmm. You're a good
So
teacher.
points to Aubrey too for those
There you
kinds of
go.
things, bringing that to the fore, saying to people, these are the elements. This is why I really think this is an excellent music book, not just a music book.
And then
Because,
you wanted Aubrey on the show with us at one point.
well, obviously I want to speak to Aubrey.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, this is, at this point, is Aubrey, high five to all the angels, because really, I know what it must have taken to put this thing together.
Thank you.
But I'm so glad that you had the right team for this, and that you could make it really more of a book about all of you, not just the drummer.
Mm-hmm.
That we could find out about your musicality, that we could find out about your spiritual life, your thoughts, your feelings. And that's, along with listening, I think those are the most neglected areas of music study.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling, like, I want to have a class on just feeling music. I want to teach a class on I kind of do just listening, because people don't listen.
Mm.
There's not enough listening in music. There's great playing, but I always say to the guys in Mahavishnu Project, I want people to hear us listening to each other, because you can hear that. Not just, but you hear the group consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
That's ideal.
Mm-hmm.
So sound might be bad. You could have a problem. It won't work. But the ideal situation is total listening communion.
Yes.
And then you get the playing. I love that you said that he would say, just listen.
Oh, yes. That was Mahavishnu's main thing that he would say and teach us, the importance of listening. I can't stress that enough. So many shows and so many concerts, it will always be about listening, making sure that we're listening.
Wow.
Because Vishnu is an extremely sensitive person.
Mm.
And then when you listen, he knows he can feel the listening power. Then he can go out to the stratosphere.
Narada, how is it in this part of your life now for you, in terms of balancing music and family and growing and living your life?
How's what? What's the question?
How does that work for you right now? How, like,
it works that I raise my children. I have 3 beautiful children, a 10-year-old named Kelly, a 9-year-old named Kayla, and a 5-year-old boy who plays football right now and sport and baseball, a strong athlete.
Wow.
I'm raising them, and I raise my studio, and I keep my studio beautiful and keep music coming as best I can with whatever projects are coming through. But I just really stay busy with children. I never realized it was such a big task to raise kids. So I think my dad this morning, I said, Dad, you were 18 when you had me. That's mind blowing. My mom was 19 when they had me. And they were playing, Bill Dowdy with the 3 Sounds music. My dad would carry Bill Dowdy's drums. And when I came up, that was the earliest I heard is Bill Dowdy with 3 Sounds. My dad
Everybody, I gotta say, Narada's talking about something. Bill Dowdy and the 3 Sounds.
Yeah.
Go find it, because Narada turned me onto it and it
Okay.
knocked me out.
Okay.
I'm still blown out. That's some serious Blue Note stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is. Mm-hmm. But when I could play that music, I play along with it from my dad. Then my dad looked at me differently. They wanted to give me a new drum set. So these things start happening. Yeah. Anyway, I love you, man. This has been a great to do with you on your great show.
Always.
Gregg Bendian playing on drums, what you do, keeping the spirit going, and let me know how I can be of service to you in the future at Tarpan Studios. Cut something, do something, and we want the angels, good Lord, to put a lot of gas in your tank for putting gas in our tank, and honoring you. and honoring your band and all the folks that are working with you to make loving music, kind music, and beautiful music. And for our future generations to bring peace into our world, it's really important that we're taking care of our world, our Mother Earth, our planet, flying here in the universe, that we're doing our very best to come together as people. Something that was started in the 60s and in the 50s was having a new love for each other. And up through time, that we continue working at that. And the music helps us have more love for each other. This is what it all comes down to. When I saw Mahavishnu play live in Tanglewood outdoors with Jan and Billy and them cats, you could cut the love with a knife. It was just so powerful. And that's the night I met Billy Cobham for the first time and just touched his hand. And I was remarkably touched that his hand was so soft, how he could play with all that fire, intensity, and have a hand like a baby. And then he explained to me, well, I'm playing with my fingers. And that was revolutionary. You go, I'd play like this, you know. I'm like, okay.
Bernard, before I let you go, I never asked you this.
Okay.
Traditional grip?
Yeah, that's how I play.
Always.
Yeah. And I learned that I can get a lot of power by the stick and go up, I can release it and then bring it, crack that sucker. Yeah.
Never matched grip.
No.
No
interest?
interest?
I can fool around with it, you know, I can do it, but not like these cats who that's what they do. If I want to be comfortable at home, I can match your power on traditional. I can match anyone's power, traditional. Yep. Power is not my problem. Anymore my problem is endurance. Now I'm 72. To play those shows like I played when I was 21, 22, I couldn't do that like I do now. I could do some of it, but damn, we played for 3 hours. Let me tell you something, Mr. Gregg. We didn't even do a drum solo until the third hour.
That's so fucked up.
No, think about that. You go on YouTube and watch me do a drum solo. That'd be in the third hour of intensity from the very first song. So I couldn't do that now. I could do some of it, but not like I did then. Then I was a young man. Now I'm an older man.
Yeah, you look like you're like 48.
Thank you. I take it. And I want to be beautiful, but you know, there's something about being young too that's got unbridled passion coming down that's like ferocious. Yeah.
But you know what's interesting too, as I age, the kid thing and maintaining it inside and the energy that you do have and how you expend it and how you focus it and how valuable it is and how much more valuable it becomes over the years.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you know, you're such a great energy burst for me whenever we talk or text or whatever. It's like this pure positive energy coming through the air from you. So I thank you for that, because that, you know, that means so much to me in this world right now and has for 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The card I chose today for our talk was this one I chose, and I read to you earlier, called Inner Child. Reminded me during my talk with you to keep my inner child going. And I'll read it one last time as we close up. It says, I nurture the child within me through playfulness and self-care. That's it.
NARADA Michael Walden, you're the best.
You too, baby. You too. Rock on, Mr. Gregg. Rock on.
You're so cool. I can't stand it.
Thank you, brother. We'll talk again.
Right? All right, everybody. My guest has been the great NARADA Michael Walden.
Thank you.
Hit us on Patreon. You can always message me. I'd love to hear from you. BendianMusic.com. Find the Hudson publication on Amazon, wherever you can find it, in the local stores. You will be enlightened and entertained and inspired.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe Bergamonte.
Joe Bergamini.
Bergamini. Thank him and his great team for stepping up at Hudson Publishing to make this thing happen. Thank you, Aubrey. Thank you, Gregg. Thank everybody who said something nice to me. Thank Billy Cobham for the forward. Thank Mahavishnu for the beautiful thing he says in here. Raymond Gomez, all my cats around the world Prince is up in heaven, but he's smiling down. The great Carlos Santana's with us. He's in this book.
Mm-hmm.
We adore him. We adore Aretha. We adore Muhammad Ali.
Yep.
James
Brown.
Sonny Liston's coming through. Sonny, the fight you did with Muhammad on the first go round was incredible. God. Whitney, we love you. Joe Frazier, we love you. Cindy Santana, we love you. Everybody we love. Okay, peace out.
Bye-bye.